Welcome in, everyone, and thank you for listening to the 168th ever episode of the Missouri Sports Podcast, brought to you by 106 Apparel and recording from the Revel Advertising Studio in beautiful Springfield, Missouri. I'm one of your hosts, Cameron Albert, alongside my good friend and fellow Mizzou fan, Kyle DeVries. How are you doing today, Kyle?
I'm doing great, Cam. Do you know what today is?
Cam Newton's back day.
Cam Newton's back. It's November 11th,
Yes.
which means it's 11/11.
Wow, lucky times.
And it's Veterans Day.
Wow, shout out to them.
Thank you to the veterans.
Of course.
I'm sure there's something else too, but it's Thursday.
Yeah. What's 11/11? Just cool.
Make a wish.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
And that's really it.
Well, Cam Newton's back with the Carolina Panthers, so I'm celebrating by wearing my jersey,
Congratulations.
and that's cool. Anyway, we talk about Mizzou on this podcast. We're talking football and basketball. It's crossover season.
It's
they
about to be
call
a
it.
long episode.
Oh, yeah. So strap in. I hope you enjoy listening to us because you're going to have a lot of it for the next little while both seasons are happening at the same time. Before we dive into all the games, I want to remind everyone, check us out on YouTube, subscribe there. Even if you don't watch on YouTube, that helps us out a lot. Leave us a review on the podcast platform that you use. That's much appreciated. And of course, you can support the podcast directly with money on Patreon. Patreon.com/Missouri Sports Pod. That's how it works, Kyle.
Hadn't thought of it that way.
Kyle, is there any big news this week that we need to talk about? Or are we just going games?
There's a lot of game action.
Yeah.
Nothing really comes to
All
mind.
right. Well, you think on that. I'll introduce the first game that we're going to talk about, and that is Missouri versus Georgia. Football. Missouri lost 43-6. Kyle, was it or was it not as bad as that score sounds?
That's a great question. Let me tell you, I expected worse. I'll tell
Okay.
you that for sure. I thought it would be way worse. And we're gonna get all up in this.
Yeah.
But I really thought this would be the ugliest football game I ever watch, and it really wasn't.
No.
It's especially since I expected it to be so bad. Them getting blown out 43-6 or whatever it was. I was like, wow, that was really pleasant.
Yeah, there were definitely some specific things that we'll talk about that made it seem okay. And I think we can just jump right in with the defense because early on and then for stretches throughout the game, the defense looked competent. I know that sounds weird because they did give up 43 points, but it is Georgia. And we just didn't – we saw a little bit of heart and we saw a little bit of execution from the defensive front in stopping the run specifically. Honestly, for Georgia to have a single 3-and-out in this game, I feel like is a success for the defense.
Yeah, the game especially started off so well. You just said let's talk about defense, but just in general, with the unknowns of the backup quarterbacks, Tyler Macon was driving down the field in that first drive, had a little miscommunication, and so the drive stalled. But then Missouri comes right out on defense, and I don't know, it wasn't a 3-and-out, was it? But they played really well, and Georgia had to punt.
Yeah,
and
nice little return by Boo Smith.
Yeah,
set Missouri up with pretty good field position.
Things started off really good, and it just, like you said, it was so good to see Missouri really fight on defense. Like, they were showing up in the trenches. They were winning the battle at the line of scrimmage. We haven't seen that all year long, and against the number one team in the country, nobody saw that coming.
Right.
Just have to force Georgia to have to kind of change the game plan and realize we can't run on these guys. We have to throw.
Yeah.
It was good to see that, and they did that. They threw very well, but just to see Missouri do something they have not done all year against an absolute juggernaut of a team, and Georgia, they run the ball so well, and to see them not be able to do that very well against Missouri was kind of shocking.
Georgia was without a starting tackle, which maybe impacted it a little bit, but yeah, I mean, if you would have told me that Missouri or that Georgia's entire starting offensive line was out for this game, I still would have thought that they would run the ball all over Missouri's defense.
Yeah.
And later on in the game, they were able to get, Georgia's able to move fresh legs in and out of the backfield to always have somebody that's ready to break off a big run. So they did do that eventually. But I mean, they didn't average like an obscene yards per carry like we've seen offenses do against Missouri. So again, I just see those little things as successes, and it honestly makes me feel a little bit better about the defense as far as like I still hold out hope that they're going to be able to grasp the scheme and make plays, make some tackles, stop offenses at the line of scrimmage from time to time. Because if you can do that against Georgia even a little bit of the time, then you ought to be able to do that more successfully against worse teams.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously a step in the right direction, and that's kind of the sad reality of where we are with this season is Missouri's run defense has been historically awful. We know that. They haven't been able to stop anybody, including Vanderbilt and SEMO. Everybody has had a good day against Missouri on the ground. So it's certainly a step in the right direction. Sometimes learning a new scheme can take a while, and so maybe they kind of feel like they're grasping the scheme a little bit better. I wanted to throw out a little kind of a controversial thought, maybe a little bit.
Let's hear it.
It's kind of out there a little bit, but maybe just a theory. It seemed like the defense, and I don't even know if these two things relate at all, but it seemed like the defense was playing really hard. It seemed like they were really excited to be out there. Do you think that their effort has anything to do whatsoever with the quarterback change and just maybe wanting to play their very best to give Tyler Macon and Brady Cook the best shot at performing well in this game?
Short answer, no. More wishy-washy answer is I would hope not, but perhaps a change in quarterback mixed with the messaging from the coaching staff of maybe being like, hey, we're putting some new guys out here. You guys got to step up. This is a big moment. Honestly, what I'm optimistic about is that the messaging from the coaching staff, they've said that it was reported that the coaches were kind of talking to the players about, you don't get to play the number one team in the country, every week. And some players go their entire college career without going up against the number one team in the country at any point. And they talked about on the broadcast, Drinkwitz spoke about Michael Maietti, and he said he's played in 55 college games, and this is the first one against the number one team in the country. So perhaps that messaging got through to the players. I would like to credit that a little bit more than the changing quarterback because of what that would say about Connor Bazelak. I don't want to really believe that they were so down on the situation on offense that changing quarterback at this point would spur on the defense to perform better.
Right. I don't want to demonize Connor Bazelak or anything here. I just maybe suggested there was just a little bit of a change, just churning the page on a new chapter, maybe kind of getting excited for the future was enough to maybe get these guys going a little bit. Who knows?
That's possible.
Probably not. You're probably right. I'm sure it has nothing in common whatsoever, and they were playing hard because of the messaging they've been hearing all week, and they're playing with house money. They got nothing to lose, and might as well just go all out and see what happens against the number one team in the country.
Yeah, but you definitely do want to see the team rally around a younger player when they're getting a shot to start, especially at quarterback. Obviously, very crucial position in football. So I would want the players to be challenged to bring that energy next time Connor Bazelak starts a football game, because he needs it just as much as any other quarterback, any other player on the team. He needs to know that they have his back and all that kind of stuff if they want to be successful.
If you had to pick a guy to start next game, who did you enjoy watching the most? I guess out of Tyler Macon and Brady Cook, who excited you? What did you like from those guys?
It was about even for me. I man, I would honestly, I'd take either one of them, but open up the playbook more, let them run the same offense that Connor Bazelak was running. I mean, let's talk about that a little bit. That was something I wanted to get to, was it really seemed like a trimmed down version of the offense against Georgia. And I don't think that was just because they were playing Georgia. Right.
It was probably a combination of the fact that it was two completely new quarterbacks and the best defense in the country.
Right.
Like, both of those things were just the perfect storm for being very conservative.
In the second half, they opened it up a little bit and played more of their normal offense. But the first half was like a little bit frustrating, watching so many like called quarterback draws, and like seeing, obviously, like the broadcast pointed out when Tyler Macon just completely missed. I think it was Dominic Lovett.
Somebody running wide open down the middle of the field.
Yeah, just completely missed him. Macon had a couple throws at like Daniel Parker Jr.'s feet that were uncatchable when he was wide open. But he looked good on the ground. He looked good kind of avoiding defenders and being shifty and making plays and extending the play, still looking downfield.
Right.
There wasn't a whole lot to do downfield some of the time. And Brady Cook did a lot of the same stuff. I don't think their games were all that different. And the stats they were pretty similar.
Yeah, I don't know that anything changed my mind too terribly much on either player. I still think Tyler Macon in the long run is the highest ceiling quarterback we have on the roster at the moment. And, I do think some of his poor throws in the game were probably just some jitters. I mean, we've seen his high school tape, and there were some plays in this game even where we know he can throw. Yeah. And he's got a pretty nice arm, and, he probably needs to work on accuracy and throwing on the run a little bit. But if he's able to develop his passing, he could be a really, really good college player. And I was really impressed with how athletic and fast he looked, and it was really kind of shredding Georgia's defense at times in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, that first run that he had, I think it was like 3rd and long, and he ran for like 20, 25 yards.
Yeah.
And looked really good and kind of caught Georgia's defense off guard and, put Missouri in a good spot offensively there. I think Georgia kind of figured out, they want to do quarterback draws, so let's just be ready for that some of the time.
Exactly. I will agree with you, though. I mean, I think Brady Cook looked really good, too. Expectations against the number one defense. I'd love to see them both play against a normal team, and maybe we'll get that chance on Saturday. But Brady Cook looked more athletic than I thought he was. He looked really fast. He was getting some good hard runs and was just not afraid to sacrifice his body to get a first down and stuff like that. And, I think he's got a nice arm. Like, he's definitely a precise thrower. So I would be excited to see both of them play again on Saturday. I don't know who's going to start. It seems like, honestly, any of the three of them could. I just have no idea what to expect. But I was pretty happy with both those guys.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's any update on Connor Bazelak.
I don't think there really has been much come out about him.
Drinkwitz said on Tuesday that he's not 100%. And that's all we know.
Yeah. And what he basically said, it would be impossible to prepare for 3 starting quarterbacks potentially. So, I still think it's going to be Brady Cook and Tyler Macon on Saturday.
I mean, this might be unpopular opinion, but give me, barring like making an injury worse, give me 90% Connor Bazelak over the other two. Now maybe they would prove me wrong if one of them got the shot and it was the full playbook against a worse team in South Carolina. Yeah. But based on what I saw last Saturday, I think I would roll with Connor Bazelak if he's 90% or more.
I just love the threat of the quarterback run, and I just think Bazelak just does not offer that right now. And I don't know if that's his injury, but I just was it was exciting to watch those guys be able to run and move around in the pocket and everything.
And they would be more successful with it if they were doing other things in the flow of the offense that were working. And obviously that's going to be easier against South Carolina.
Yeah, I think I totally understand wanting to see Bazelak. He's the veteran. He's proved to be a very serviceable quarterback in the past. But I think I would love to see another Brady Cook, Tyler Macon game for at least one more week. Just give him a chance against a little softer defense. see what they can do.
Okay, you said Brady Cook, Tyler Macon game. Are you talking about one of them taking and starting and playing the whole game? Or
Honestly,
are you okay with the back and forth again?
I was fine with that. At the beginning of the game, when Brady Cook came in and had like a 3 and out, I was a little bit frustrated. I kind of wanted them just to keep riding Macon, but I think Cook definitely showed he was capable and he was worthy of more playing time. Yeah. So I kind of just thought it was fun to throw them both out there. They both offer something a little bit different, and I want to see what they both can bring to the table. So, but especially Macon. I think that's the guy I want to see the most between the two.
He definitely had some throws. He had a connection with Towski Dove late in the game where they were putting together some nice little
kind of makes you wonder
pitch and catch situations.
Why they weren't doing that a little bit sooner. But
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, yeah, fewer design quarterback draws, please. I like the option stuff though. Like I would love to see some Tyler Macon, Tyler Beatty speed option type of plays against South Carolina. Tyler Beatty didn't have a whole lot of running room against Georgia. They didn't really try to run the ball a whole lot with the running backs.
Honestly, I was fine with that. Yeah. I mean, we know what Georgia is, and they're incredible at stopping the run. And, I mean, why get Tyler Beatty hurt in a game that just is out of reach?
Yeah, Macon and Cook both individually had more carries than Tyler Beatty. I thought it was kind of funny. Drink was upset with Brady Cook on one play for not realizing where the first down was and going down a little bit too early. But I think he made up for it later by like really selling out on a 4th down to try to get to the sticks.
Yeah,
get a first down.
Really sacrificed his body on that particular play you're talking about.
Barely got there. Like, I don't know. If that was a closer game, I don't know. Maybe they look a little bit closer at that play and see if he really got there. But they called it first down. We'll take it. So the quarterbacks combined threw the ball 32 times and ran the ball 22 times. Neither one of them threw for a touchdown or an interception. There was a touchdown to be had right there at the very end of the game. Literally, like maybe the last play of the game for Missouri's offense. They were moving down the field, and I think Georgia fans were kind of mad that Missouri's offense was trying to score a touchdown there at the end.
I bet they were.
But I was happy to see it, and they almost did. But
well, they had a streak of like several games of not giving up a touchdown. So Missouri was really trying to break the streak, and of course, I wanted to see Tyler Macon get some experience and kind of an end of the game drive, even though it meant nothing.
He had Daniel Parker Jr. right there at the end, but that was one of the two that he kind of threw at his feet. Unfortunately, it was like basically the same type of play.
Yeah,
where that happened. Let's see. It was frustrating watching Georgia execute in the passing game, and just like I felt like on a lot of plays, Missouri's coverage was pretty good. Like Chris Abrams-Drain was right there several times, and Georgia's wide receivers just kept coming down with balls. There was that one early on. There was that 4th down play where they scored a touchdown, and
that was kind of a heartbreaker.
Yeah,
Missouri went up 3-0 in this game.
Yep.
They had the lead in this game. Oh man, that was fun while it lasted.
Yeah. Georgia's offense just couldn't be held down forever, and like I said, it was frustrating watching pretty good coverage just get outdone by incredible catches over and over again.
100%.
But that's what happens when you have just amazing athletes.
But that's what Mizzou has to do, is prioritize the run game, and that's what I hope they do against South Carolina. Is we've got pretty good secondary. Put them on an island. Let's sell out and stop the run. And if we can, then they're going to be a lot harder to beat. So we'll see what they do going forward. Do you think Georgia has a quarterback controversy? I kind of thought JT Daniels had that job locked up, but the announcers were talking about what's his face?
Kirby Smart is it's well known that he is fine with whichever one of those two quarterbacks is ready to go in any given week. So
yeah, you're right.
He's said that like 50 zillion times this year. I think they showed every single time on the broadcast.
Actually, probably right. It's like coach speak, but it's probably true, actually.
Yeah. I mean, they've both looked pretty good. I think JT probably has like the higher ceiling, but do they really need like a spectacular playmaker through the air right now. No, they kind of just need a guy that's going to protect the ball and get the ball to the weapons. And I think Stetson Bennett looked like he can make the throws.
He was really good.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be too terribly worried about that if I'm Georgia. I feel pretty good about knowing that if you have to deal with an injury, then you're going to be okay.
Does Georgia win out and win the national championship?
Georgia, like, they would probably do something like be undefeated and then lose. Georgia would do something like go undefeated all the way to the national championship game and lose again, like they did against Alabama a few years ago.
That kind of has been their MO.
Yeah. And then they'll probably like fire Kirby Smart when they get tired of doing that.
No way.
They do that a few more times and see if the seat gets hot.
Kirby Smart had a pretty funny hot mic moment in this game.
That
was
true.
The most blatant hot mic, like just F-bomb I've ever seen. Like it was right next to the ref who turned on his mic to announce a penalty or something, and so the entire stadium
perfect timing.
just heard it so clearly, including everybody watching on TV.
Yeah, I think Georgia's really good still. I think it's a pretty good chance they'll just go undefeated and win the whole thing. But I wouldn't be surprised if they just couldn't quite put it together and tripped up in like a crucial the semifinal and just like inexplicably lose a game when they're the number 1 seed.
Seems like theirs to lose for sure.
Let's see. Anything else on that Georgia game?
I do have two. If you're done with the Georgia game, I do have 2 quick little recruiting notes to share today.
I was just going to say Missouri is now 4-5, 1-4 in SEC play, and still need a couple wins to become bowl eligible.
That's the goal. Missouri did get 2 crystal ball predictions today for the 2023 class. Both 4-star players. One is Marvin Burks. He's a safety from Cardinal Ritter. And the other one is Logan Reichert from Raytown in Kansas City, which I think Missouri's has been in the driver's seat for Logan Reichert for a long time. It just seems like he just wants to stay home, and he's an offensive lineman, so he would be a wonderful addition for sure. So just a quick little update on that. Missouri's going to have a great 2023 class, I think. I think it's going to be very strong.
Who's the I think he's just listed as an athlete who maybe a 5-star player 2023.
Samuel, like Mapemba or something. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
I think he was on campus or will be this weekend or something like that.
Yeah, I think he's visiting soon, I believe.
Yeah. All right.
Next summer's going to be fun.
Yeah. I mean, I would take, like, it seems like the Drinkwitz era is going to be, there's going to be recruiting news to talk about pretty much all the time.
Yep.
So Mizzou hosts South Carolina. South Carolina is 5-4 on the season with wins over Eastern Illinois, East Carolina, Troy, Vanderbilt, and Florida. So a
blowout win over Florida.
Yeah, they beat Vanderbilt by 1 point, beat Florida by 23.
That's probably one of the weirder games in the whole college football season so far. I mean, there's obviously always crazy upsets, but I don't think many people saw that one coming.
So if you haven't been paying attention to South Carolina this season, Luke Doty was their quarterback, but he went down with injury. They have been playing a gentleman named Jason Brown at quarterback. And just talking about this Florida game a little bit, because it was very impressive for South Carolina. And there were a couple things that happened that maybe don't make me too excited about this matchup. And one of those is their running backs, Kevin Harris, who we know about, he's excellent running back, and Zaquandre White, both averaged over 8 yards per carry, and both had over 100 yards rushing against Florida.
Yikes!
So that's not something you want to see.
Hope Mizzou fix their defense.
Yeah. We'll see if some of that success from the Georgia game can roll over to this one, but I'm not going to hold my breath for that.
Don't count on it.
Yeah. We've got several other games this season that say that's not going to happen. Jason Brown in the Florida game just threw the ball 24 times for 174 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Pretty sure he's a FCS transfer, right?
That is correct.
Wow. That's an upgrade going to FCS to SEC.
Yeah, it is. There's another guy, I can't remember his name. His first name starts with a Z, who was like the official backup to Luke Doty earlier in the season, but then he went down with the injury, but he's healthy now. But Brown is the guy, they say. So unless they pull a switcheroo on us, which they have done, South Carolina has done that to us before, I think we are going to see Jason Brown at quarterback. South Carolina's defense is pretty decent, and they're decent at, like, what's the term? Havoc plays, I guess. They have 5 different players on their team with at least 2 sacks, including defensive back Jalen Foster. So Jalen Foster has 2 sacks. He also has 5 interceptions and 2 forced fumbles on the season. And he is their team's leading tackler.
Wow.
He's pretty good.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Good grief. Yeah, they do seem to force a lot of turnovers.
12 interceptions as a team on the season.
Wow. That score on D.
Yeah.
It's more like
they're doing it. So yeah, I don't know. I'm there's some things about this South Carolina team that prevent or that pose matchup issues for Missouri.
Some of that stuff sounds kind of scary, but they haven't really, obviously, outside of the Florida game, nothing about their season is impressive whatsoever.
Yeah, their wins are pretty bottom tier.
Yeah,
to put it
bottom tier.
Nicely. Yeah. One other thing to watch in this matchup is 2 excellent kickers. South Carolina's Parker White. He's a perfect 20 for 20 on extra points and 13 for 14 on field goals. And that was something I wanted to talk about in the Georgia game. Harrison Mevis missed a field goal.
I forgot about that. You had to bring that up.
And didn't miss it by much. It was off the upright.
Yeah.
But we knew it was bound to happen eventually. I think you said during the game, rather it be in a blowout than
just get out of your system now.
Yeah.
And there'll be more important kicks down the road, and you'll
definitely
hit them all.
Yeah. It was kind of sad, though. I was almost like, I don't know. Obviously, I'm a weirdo, and I'm a sucker for, like, just weird stats and stuff, and I just wanted to see him unrealistically go perfect for the season. So, like, I was like, I'd rather them go for it on 4th down to preserve his perfect kicking percentage, which makes no sense. That's just how my brain works sometimes.
You love the record books.
Yes. So South Carolina can run the ball. Missouri not great at stopping the run. South Carolina, good defense. Missouri's offense has struggled from time to time, and we're probably going to have a backup quarterback starting again.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of unknowns here for both teams. But I just think whatever their game plan was defensively against Georgia, do it again. Keep the gap integrity. Win at the line of scrimmage. Make them pass. And because clearly, I mean, Brown, he's been fine, but he's not going to kill you. He's not Stetson Bennett. Right. And he's a lot more of a game manager, just kind of throwing when they have to. And I just think that's what they have to do. Just they have to focus on the run.
Well, if there was any team this year that was going to actually do what Mizzou fans think most teams should do and just like abandon the pass and run 90% of the time, I think it could be South Carolina in this game.
Yeah.
Looking back at some of their other games, they actually are a team that scored a touchdown against Georgia earlier this year. They fought pretty well against Kentucky, lost that game 16-10. That was a game that their defense really showed up for. And but then they only beat Vanderbilt by 1 point, and then they lost to Texas A&M by 30. So It's been pretty up and down, and a lot of that is a good portion of that is due to their kind of revolving door at quarterback due to injuries and stuff.
Yeah, I think the game script's going to be really big here. Obviously, against good running teams, you don't want to fall behind because then they can just exactly what they do well against you. They can use their biggest weapon against you to run out the clock and just run it down your throat. So Missouri has to get ahead early in this game, force South Carolina to have to throw to get back in the game, if you will. I think that obviously sounds really obvious, like score points so they will win. But I really do think game script is important here, and you want to have to force South Carolina to do what they're uncomfortable doing.
I'm trying to figure out a way to pick Missouri to win this game, but I'm not coming up with it.
Yeah, I kind of feel like coming into the episode, I felt like Mizzou would win this game, but when we really break it down by what South Carolina is good at, it doesn't feel like it's going to be a win for Missouri. I don't know. I think it's going to be a close game. Both these teams are very evenly matched, I think.
I'm going to give South Carolina the edge. I'm going to predict South Carolina wins the game 23-20.
23-20, okay. Yeah, even though we did see some improvement from Missouri last week, I'm still not sold on it. I don't think I can buy that they're just beyond these defensive issues on the run game and all that stuff. I think they probably have gotten a little bit better, but I still think it's just going to be an issue in this game. I think they're going to lose 31-28.
I hope we're wrong.
Hope we're wrong. Would love to be wrong. I mean,
it'll be close though.
I think so. And I mean, if Missouri wins this game, and they're in business for a potential bowl appearance. It looks like Florida is kind of going down a little bit. Arkansas is probably beatable if you play your best game. It's not impossible, but if you're gonna make a bowl, obviously this is the game you have to win. This is the easiest game left on the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see where Florida is when that game comes around, because they are kind of, they're kind of falling apart a little bit.
Yeah,
but
I love it.
Yeah, that's fun. That is nice to see. I mean, couldn't happen to a worse guy in Dan Mullen either.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I hope they pull this one out. The Vegas is saying like pick 'em. It's not
just a coin flip.
Yeah. Like I don't think either team was favored last time I looked.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I think if these guys played 10 times, they probably split. Yeah. That's basically the same thing as a coin flip.
Yeah, it's like 50-50. I mean,
it's a lot like just in half and half.
Yeah. Let's pick some more games, I guess. We are going to move on to SEC Pick'em plus Nebraska. And the Patreon pickers were running away with it a little bit. I couldn't make up any ground. Kyle made up some ground. So they've turned to their star picker, Daddy JD. He's the one that kind of blew it open for the guest pickers, and they brought him back out to see if he can kind of shut the door on any comeback attempt. So this is our opportunity to jump back in.
They're rolling out like Mariano Rivera against us.
Seriously.
Like just the greatest closer ever, just to shut the door on us.
They had to go back to the well.
Yeah. Don't blame him.
Alrighty. So, am I on?
Mm-hmm.
You're live. Seem kind of quiet.
You're live.
Alrighty. So, last week, Cameron, you got 4 points. Kyle got 6. I got 3. And our guest picker, Tristan, got 4. So not a ton of movement, but Cameron made up a couple points. The season totals are I have 45, Kyle has 47, Cameron, you have 49, and the guests have 54.
Oh, my gosh.
So
time to make a move. There's a couple games. I haven't looked at who JD picked this week, but I think there's going to be an opportunity to go against them on a couple of these.
All right. Well, first game is New Mexico State at number 2 Alabama. Okay. Alabama is a. You want to take a guess?
I think I know this.
37.
I saw it. It's ridiculous.
51.
Oh my God.
I think Alabama's 8-1. New Mexico State is 1-8 on the season.
That's exactly backwards.
Yeah. Reverse of each other.
Reflectioned.
Yeah. I'll take Alabama.
Oh yeah.
I guess I will.
All right. So does JD.
Okay.
What if JD just like went haywire, just like sabotage mode, and just like
still gets it right?
That's probably what would happen.
All right. Second game is Mississippi State at number 17 Auburn. Auburn is a 5.5-point favorite.
Jeez, that's actually a tough one.
I'll take Auburn.
Who'd JD pick?
Auburn.
Dang. I'll
take Mississippi State.
Okay, I'll pick Auburn. Wait, who are they playing? Mississippi State?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Auburn for sure.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
I had Ole Miss in my
You
head
picked
for
the
a
upset,
second.
though, Cameron? Producer Cameron?
I
gotta do
have
something.
You gotta do it.
I
You gotta do
gotta
it.
I gotta do something. All right, number 1 Georgia at Tennessee. Georgia is a 20-point favorite.
Tennessee came through for me last week.
Pick
They're
'em.
not going to do it this time. Give me Georgia.
I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee covers the spread, but Georgia's going to win the game, I think. Georgia for everyone?
Everybody.
Okay.
All righty, number 11 Texas A&M at number 15 Ole Miss. Texas A&M is a 2.5-point favorite. Give me Texas A&M. Jordan picked Ole Miss.
Give me A&M.
I wanted to pick Ole Miss with him, against him.
I think Ole Miss is really good at beating like bad teams. I'm not sure if they stand up to the big boys this year. I think I don't know. Give me A&M, I guess.
Who's favored?
A&M by 2.5.
Jeez. There's not that many opportunities left. I guess I'll take A&M. Reluctantly.
All right. Kentucky at Vanderbilt. Kentucky is a 21-point favorite.
I'll take Kentucky.
I will as well.
Kentucky all around. And our last game this week, number 25 Arkansas at LSU. Arkansas is a 3-point favorite.
Who JD pick?
Arkansas.
LSU actually played okay
Against Alabama? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was weird. I think that was an outlier.
This is at LSU?
Mm-hmm.
I'm picking Arkansas.
Give me LSU.
I'll take LSU.
Oof.
Oh, man.
I feel like JD did the smart thing on a lot of those and really
Went safe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Made it to where we can't gobble up a bunch of points.
Maybe next week we should just not. Well, I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter. He's influencing our picks pretty heavily.
Well, yeah, I want to.
But we want to catch him. So.
Yeah,
He's playing
exactly.
mind games with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's our only advantage at this point is being able to pick against him to maybe get an extra point. No Nebraska this week.
Nope.
They're too scared to play football.
Off the face of the earth.
Yep.
Man, just think of all the points I'd have if I never picked them.
Yeah, you would probably be winning.
Well, they're dead to us this week. Don't go anywhere. We're talking basketball now.
Oh, yeah.
We're switching gears. It's basketball time. We had a basketball game. That's fun. Got back into it. Missouri won. They beat Central Michigan 78-68. A lot of new faces. But it definitely looked like a Conzo Martin team that we're kind of used to seeing.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of a little bit refreshing that like there wasn't some kind of new system. There was nothing just like jarring really about watching them play that first game. It just made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And we've got some talented players, and I'm really excited. I'm optimistic after that first game. There was a lot of stuff. I think there were things to like. Obviously, Missouri was without probably like a starter in most games. Dajuan Gordon was out. I don't know. We didn't hear much about his situation like leading up to the season, but he had to sit out one game because he participated in some summer league basketball game that was not sanctioned by the NCAA. So, of course, the NCAA just, really looking out for the student athletes.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go play in a summer league game. You should know better than that.
Absolutely.
So he had to sit out a game, but it was all right. Mizzou came through with a win, and it was pretty fun.
Yeah, honestly, I not a whole lot surprised me about this game, to be honest. Kind of like you said, the schematics of the offense were pretty much the same. They they ran in transition a lot. They played good defense. They were diving on the ground for balls.
Mm-hmm.
They had some pretty long droughts without scoring a couple of times. It was pretty much just a hallmark Conzo Martin basketball game.
Yes.
And, I do think that – okay, so the announcers actually said Dajuan Gordon.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go with...
What's the guy's name? It was Jarrett Sutton and
Ben Arnett.
Ben Arnett. He was saying Deshaun.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I heard it right from Coach's mouth.
Oh, okay.
So
all right. Well,
I'm going to go with that until...
Mr. Gordon,
Yeah.
I think he is an instrumental piece of what they want to do defensively. I think a concept that he's their best perimeter defender.
Mm-hmm.
He may be their best rebounder, especially at the guard position.
Yeah.
I think he's just that gritty player that's going to just take the game to the next level as far as positionless basketball, all that.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to be a big-time scorer or anything, but he's just going to contribute to the overall just mission of what they're trying to do as a team.
And Konzo did say he's a guy that they're okay with taking threes. He mentioned that not be another factor of him not being out there was that he's a guy that will shoot it. And I don't know if we will be happy with that if he is a guy that's taking shots later in the season, but until we see otherwise, let's assume that he's doing okay with that in practice.
Mm-hmm. One guy I think we are going to love is Ronnie Degray, and he was everywhere. He's not like the most beautiful shot. He doesn't have the most beautiful shot. He's not like ultra athletic.
He's a beautiful human, though.
He is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And he's I might even say I love him at some point.
Yeah,
Kind of like I love Tyler Beatty.
He's the type of player that I could see
well,
you
Konzo
saying
Martin
that
loves him. I know that. But anyways, he was just everywhere. He was filling up the stat sheet. He is the guy that every team has to have a guy like Ronnie Degray to be good, I feel like. Just kind of the guy doing the dirty work. But he was scoring too. He wasn't just doing the dirty work. So
Yeah, and he didn't play as many minutes as Boogie Coleman, Javon Pickett, or Amari Davis, and he was easily the most impactful player.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a double-double with 13 points and 12 rebounds. 7 of those were on the offensive glass. He had 3 blocks on defense as well and only turned the ball over twice.
yeah, just a really smart player and just always seems to be in the right spot.
2 plays in particular that stood out for me was one where he followed his own shot and got the offensive board and put it back in, and then one where he caught a Coleman air ball and tipped it in right at as the shot clock was expiring. And those are just kind of the getting in position to get a rebound and getting in position to get those putbacks. Is you got to have, when you are probably going to be a little bit offensively challenged from time to time, getting some of those easy buckets off of rebounds is going to be huge.
Yeah. Amari Davis kind of did the opposite of what he's done statistically in his career. Made a few threes.
Yeah.
He scored 14 points, but 6 of those were from threes. So it was good to see him comfortable shooting threes. He was 2 of 6, so
yeah,
clearly has the green light. He was fun to watch, I thought.
Yeah.
He looked very polished.
Another guy that Konzo talked about being a perimeter defender that they're going to lean on. His ability to finish at the rim for kind of like an undersized guard is pretty impressive. You kind of have to be crafty if you're not.
Yeah, that was one thing I noticed about him is it just felt like the touch and control on his shots just looked really good. I don't even know how to describe it, but he just looked like he knows how to use the backboard like really well.
His game, not him as a player, not like physically as a player, but his game reminds me of Keon Bell. How he was kind of it was a athletic guard who kind of wasn't an awesome three-point shooter, didn't look the best shooting threes, but was able to finish at the rim, finish in transition, crafty around the basket, able to use a Euro step.
That Euro step was beautiful at the end of the game.
That's something that if you have that mastered in college, you're going to be able to have wide open layups more so than other players.
Mm-hmm.
It's just,
and a lot of the stuff he has done well in the past, kind of those pull-up jumpers from mid-range, he didn't really hit a whole lot of those. So I feel like he could have had a lot better game if he, hit a few of those.
Definitely. Yeah, wasn't quite as efficient as he's used to being.
Mm-hmm.
On the negative side of things, Kobe Brown kind of struggled in this one.
Yeah.
He was able to pull out a decent performance by kind of like willing them through their last little offensive drought at the end of the game by getting to the free throw line and just kind of being like, okay, we got to manufacture some points here.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really good to see because he was pretty quiet. He was foul prone on defense and had to sit some because of that. wasn't really getting shots to fall. But there at the end of the game, he was able to make it happen, get to the free throw line, and was instrumental in helping Missouri kind of close it out.
Glass half full approach on Kobe Brown. Didn't attempt a three, which honestly I'm kind of fine with because we have some better shooters that can stretch the floor a little bit. He's obviously going to shoot threes this year, but doesn't really need to shoot nearly as many as he did. And just seeing that we were able to, I mean, obviously it's Central Michigan, but knowing we were able to pull this game out with him having a down game was good, especially with all these new players kind of carrying the team. I thought that was a good sign.
It really didn't seem like there's any like chemistry issues at all. Like no like new player confusion really. I saw a little bit of that on defense with the freshmen, specifically Anton Brookshire. He had a couple sequences on defense where he looked a little bit lost. There was one play in particular where he was trying to get back into the play, and Central Michigan was moving the ball around the perimeter, and he was just kind of
just jumping around,
running and jumping at three-point shooters, and they eventually made a three at the end of that possession.
Yeah.
So it's more memorable because they made the shot, but
that was definitely a little like welcome to a college basketball moment for sure.
And of course he found the bench shortly after that. He came back in later, but that was just kind of like okay, settle down, buddy, and let's work you back into the game a little bit later. But I think they're going to try to get him involved as the primary ball handler some of the time. And another guy, it seems like he has a green light from three. So he will connect on some of those eventually. Let's talk about the post play a little bit. Jordan Wilmore got the start. I don't know if that's going to be a regular thing moving forward. Might as well let him jump and get that first possession for Missouri every single time. But
did he jump?
I actually don't know. I actually missed the opening tip.
No, he jumped. But did he jump physically?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surely.
That was a little bit mean.
Well, he needed to jump a little bit higher on some of his attempts at the basket. That was a disappointing thing to see. Him getting his shot blocked at the rim is not something that can happen.
No rebound.
That's also something that cannot happen.
Here's my take on Jordan Wilmore. I completely understand the frustration with Jordan Wilmore, but I just also have seen college basketball players develop and transform their game over the course of several years. And I guess if we're able to be a little bit patient with Jordan Wilmore, I feel like I can see a scenario in which he develops his game, figures out how to be a little quicker on his feet, understand what they're trying to do schematically, learn how to guard guys that are smaller than him. If he can figure out some of those things, I mean, he could just be unbelievably impactful just because of his sheer size and just being able to be a force in the middle of the court. And I just kind of feel like I want to be patient with him, and he's not going to be getting a bunch of double-doubles this year, and maybe never. I don't know. But I feel like you got to be patient with a guy like Wilmore.
Yeah, it's hard. It'd be easier for me to be patient with him if he just wasn't playing all that much, honestly. It's hard to be patient when the opposing team is just immediately going to go to if the opposing team has a big man that has any kind of outside game, they're just going to go to that every single time. They're going to get Wilmore into screening situations to where he has to hedge or switch. He's not going to switch onto a guard, but they'd like him to. And they're just going to keep going back to that.
Yeah, it's matchup dependent for sure.
And I just don't think there's that many college teams with like a true center that is going to allow him to play to his strengths on defense all that often. So when that matchup comes along, it'll be really interesting to see how he does. But I think we're just going to keep seeing them bring him out to the perimeter. I mean, teams would do that against Tillman and have success with it. So they're just going to keep doing that. But yeah, I'm willing to be patient with him. Absolutely. It just, like I said, it'd be easier to do if he wasn't getting it as many minutes moving forward. And he probably won't be. I mean, it's weird to think that Gordon coming back would influence minutes for Wilmore, but it seems like Konzo is willing to go small.
Kobe slide to the 5.
Yeah, it seems like he's definitely willing to do that. And just having another wing player to come in and that can guard multiple positions will make that even easier moving forward.
Yeah.
Boogie Coleman, very impressive. Ronnie Degray obviously kind of stole the show, but Coleman was just so solid. And the announcers mentioned it, but in the player previews I pointed out that he could very easily slide into that Drew Smith role, and he's going to be like the point guard, but also be able to score and facilitate and just make the little plays necessary to keep the offense flowing. Now, there were definitely times in this game where the half-court offense got bogged down and looked awful. And Konzo seems like he's not scared of teams playing zone. And I wouldn't be either with guys like Coleman and Degray and Kobe Brown and Javon Pickett. Like, those are all guys that you should be able to put at that like high post position, toss the ball into them, and they can facilitate from there and find a shooter or find a guy, slashing to the basket. It didn't really work at all against Central Michigan. The zone really slowed down Missouri's offense, but that's something that it doesn't seem like this Missouri team should struggle with, every time a team does it.
Yeah, I do think that the interior guy kind of struggled facilitating whoever that might be. I think, who's that going to be? Ronnie, that's kind of in the middle facilitating, kind of breaking down the zone. I feel like it has to probably be him or maybe Kobe.
Yeah, and I think both of those guys are capable of doing it. And I think maybe if Amari Davis or like Brookshire, they could be entering the ball into that high post for Coleman sometimes. They might need to try that. But just going back to Coleman's overall game, his three-point jumper looks really good. He had a nice little step back.
Very smooth.
I think he'll be able to keep the defense honest at the three-point line and still be able to get to the rim. He's not super quick driving, but if he's able to make some threes, I think that'll open up driving lanes for him, and he'll be able to kick it out or get it down low to Kobe.
Yeah.
I
think he's going to shoot a lot of threes this year.
That's fine. Somebody's going to need to.
Yeah.
It's college basketball in 2021.
Yeah.
So
what about Pickett? Can we say he's taken a step? Would you say that?
I think he's taken a step in his mentality that he understands he can't wait for the game to come to him. And we saw that in game one. When he got the ball in his hands, he was looking to do something with it to try to score the basketball.
Yeah.
He was relentless in transition, getting to the basket. He was willing to take threes. I'm excited. Davis shot the ball 14 times. Javon Pickett shot the ball 14 times. I think we're going to see a lot of that.
Yeah. Moving
forward.
Yeah, Pickett 18 points, 2 for 6 from 3. He's a guy that shot almost 40% from 3 last year, but he didn't shoot very much. I would be perfectly content with Pickett taking a lot more threes this year. I think he can still be efficient at a high level, taking a lot of shots.
Missouri, go ahead.
I was going to say we're probably going to need him too. Just him and Coleman,
right,
are both probably going to have to shoot a lot of threes.
Yeah, and if Gordon can shoot a decent percentage, then that's even better. Pickett looked good. I think he's taken a step almost out of necessity, and I don't know that his game doesn't look like demonstrably improved over last year. I think
Mindset.
It's just
it's confident,
a dedication to I've got to score the basketball.
It's a little bit of this is my team.
Yeah,
I've been here 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
I know Coach Konzo more than anybody else here.
Right,
it's kind of my team. I got to lead it.
And Konzo's confident in Pickett's ability to do just that.
Yeah,
so I think we'll see more of it. Sean Dewar-Gordon played 1 minute according to the box score. Did attempt one 3-pointer and went to the free throw line, so didn't really get to see much from him. Yaya Keita is how they pronounced it on the broadcast. He played 13 minutes, so the same number of minutes as Jordan Wilmore, and he looked okay. He scored some layups, has a really good shot on his free throws.
Yeah, beautiful free throw.
If that translates to some jump shooting later in his career, it seems like he's got the form to be able to knock down some shots. he had like one play where Brookshire had that one defensive lapse. Yaya had that one weird situation on offense where like he tracked down an offensive rebound and was kind of out towards the perimeter, and he just needed to hand the ball to, I think it was Amari Davis, was standing right there. Just give it to him.
Yep.
Reset the offense. Everything's fine. Held on to it just a second too long. Turned the ball over. Other than that, and that's just like a typical freshman mistake. Other than that, I thought he played well.
Yeah, he looked a little bit out of sorts on defense just a couple of times, but I'm not worried about it at all.
Yeah, it's been a while since he played a meaningful basketball game. What'd you think of that new basketball court?
That was beautiful. That looked really good.
Yeah.
So much better than what they had. I almost have blocked it out of my memory. I can barely even remember what it looked like.
Yeah, I'm already used to the new one. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
And there's some similarity between it and the football field, which I like some of that synergy.
Any like macro thoughts on the season change whatsoever after watching this game for you?
I was thinking about that, and I know this is like a cop-out, but we're going to have to get through pretty much all of non-conference season before I can even think about like what my expectations are for this team. Like, I don't even know. I feel like if they had come out and scored 90 plus points and just kind of dominated the second half like they did at the end of the first half, the last 10 minutes of the first half, they outscored Central Michigan 29-10. If they had continued something similar to that in the second half and scored like 90 points and kept pushing the ball in transition, and then I would think maybe we have something here on offense that we didn't have last year. But obviously that didn't happen. Had some dry spells and some struggles, just some of those weird end of shot clock, like nobody just has a shot situations.
Trying to run out the clock, basically, and waited too long.
Yeah, that makes me think there's going to be some struggles this year, and my expectations haven't really changed from predicting, 10 to 15 wins total on the season.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. I don't really think anything changed as far as my expectations for the whole season. One thing I do think is exciting, though, is this team seems to have a high ceiling long term, like beyond this season.
Yeah.
And pretty much everybody on this whole squad, except for Pickett, will be here at least 2-3 seasons.
Now, this is like a meme at this point because of COVID eligibility stuff. Pickett could return next season. Now, Konzo doesn't seem into that sort of thing. Obviously, we saw.
Go be a man somewhere.
Yes,
Go
exactly.
on with your life.
Yes. But theoretically, he could return next year, correct?
I think you're right.
If allowed by the coaching staff.
If allowed. But Konzo really likes him, so he'd probably make an exception.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, all these guys have 2-3. I think Ronnie Degray's got 4 years of eligibility if you include the COVID year. So I really like this team long term, potentially. This year might be kind of ugly. But when you let these guys develop, play together for a long time, kind of figure each other out, add in Aiden Shaw, a couple of talented freshmen, I think things are looking pretty good. Mark Mitchell, yeah. Okay, yeah. We don't want to. That's misinformation.
All right, I was just joking. That was a joke. Missouri plays UMKC on Monday. UMKC is 255th in KenPom, so another team that Missouri should beat.
Yep.
It's a home game. They are not a good offense. They just lost their first game to Minnesota 71-56, and Minnesota, not a good team. Triple-digit KenPom team. They're going to be towards the bottom of the Big Ten. UMKC plays Iowa on Friday, so if you want to check that game out, you can see a little preview. But if UMKC scores more than 62 points, that's kind of what I'm targeting for Missouri's defense. UMKC, not a good offense. They will struggle. This is a game that I think Missouri's offense will probably perform pretty similarly to the way they did against Central Michigan, but their defense ought to be a little bit more successful in slowing down. What are they? The Roos?
Yeah, something like that. Kangaroos.
Yeah.
One another just quick note on Central Michigan.
Only one.
I don't know his first name. Jackson Jr. 19 points, was making every three, like, especially at the end of the game. He was chucking them up, just going in.
Single-handedly keeping them in the game.
Yeah. I mean, that's just kind of one of those things, like, if he just, misses a couple of those, this game is not even remotely close at the end of the game.
Yeah, he was 5 for 10 from 3. Mizzou was kind of coasting in the second half a little bit. Sometimes not by choice. I mean, they were just running to the end of the shot clock a lot of the time and putting up something kind of ugly. But I think Missouri should be 2-0 after Monday, and their defense should be able to step up and be impressive, I think, and look for them to keep getting out in transition. That's where they were really successful against Central Michigan, so look for them to lean on that. I think Missouri's going to win. You agree?
I believe they're going to win.
Keep UMKC's score low.
Keep it in check.
Flex a little bit on defense is what I want to see. Is that it?
That's it.
That's a whole show.
It was a lot.
Fun times.
It was fun. A lot going on.
Oh, yeah. Let us know what you think about the basketball team after one game. Special thank you to our Patreon supporters at the $10 level and above: Britt Treese, Brian Smith, Ryan Lee, Tristan, Ben Smith, Parker, Daddy JD, Luis Hernandez, and Tim Keynes.
Thank you, fine gentlemen. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or on Twitter at Mizzou Sports Pod, and you can email us at MissouriSportsPod@gmail.com.
Thank you, fine gentlemen. You can find our t-shirts and stickers on our online shop, MissouriSportsPod.BigCartel.com.
Thank you, fine gentlemen. Thank you for listening, everyone. We will see you next week after a win.